Yeah, this should be making me like, I'm not making it better. Oh, it's hot.
This is fantastic.
Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be showcasing 12 must-hear Shaquille O'Neal stories we bet you probably never knew about. Make sure you watch until the end of the video to find out how Shaq's life was saved from a near-death incident. We'll kick it off with number 12. Love him, hate him, you can't deny that Shaq was one of the most dominant players in NBA history. The Big Aristotle, four-time NBA champion, was also one of the league's most colorful personalities. Shaq is frequently associated with his strategic maneuver on the court, yet it's off the court where his ridiculous character sparkled most brilliantly. When Shaq was younger, he was one of the tallest kids around town, which brought on a lot of teasing and name-calling from his peers. Since Shaq's father was in the military, they moved around a lot, forcing O'Neal to attend different schools. Now, bullying, of course, is awful to start with, but it's like a nightmare for a replacement kid at a new school. That's why, as Shaq recalls, he would find the tough guys at each of his new schools and would beat them up. This was his way of sending a warning message to the bullies of the school that he wasn't about to be made fun of. Although not really a noble way to go about that, it did appear to work for Shaq as a young boy who was just kind of finding his way around in the prepubescent world. And he certainly carried this hobby with him into adulthood as he became a bully himself on the NBA courts. Next up, at number 11, it's so cool to watch athletes take part as actors in movies or feature in an episode of a particular TV show. However, when a sports icon as famous as Shaquille O'Neal appears in a movie, it attracts the attention of a huge crowd. The biggest film projects he's worked on were the movies Blue Chips and Kazam. In Blue Chips, O'Neal plays a college basketball star who's receiving illegal money from other schools as well as from college boosters. In Kazam, Shaq plays a rapping genie attempting to help a young boy rekindle his relationship with his father. He was also featured in several other movies like Jack and Jill, Grown Ups 2, and Scary Movie 4.
A ham this good only comes once a generation. That's a hell of a good ham right there.
Coming in at number 10, a guy with just tremendous size who enjoyed beating people up earlier in his life, it's no wonder that Shaq was fond of wrestling. He took part in several wrestling events. The first time he presented the title belt to the winner of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship in a match between Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. Years later, he was honored as a guest host of WWE's Monday Night Raw, where he got into his first squabble with the famous wrestler Big Show. More recently, Shaq took part in a match at WrestleMania 32, and this was his first ever match. It was Andre the Giant's memorial show, in which Shaq got into another dispute with Big Show and was quoted afterward as challenging Big Show to a future match. I'd guess that he's probably likely to appear in another wrestling match sometime in the future. Now we're on to number 9. According to several former coaches, Shaq would frequently attempt to lighten the mood within the locker room by stripping right down to nothing while pulling humorous pranks, like tackling teammates and training staff. One account in particular is just hilarious, and we've got to mention it. When Phil Jackson was having a practice session with the LA Lakers, Shaq showed up in literally nothing except for his sneakers. It's crazy to imagine a person with this giant physique and huge weight roaming around with nothing but shoes on, but it's even crazier to see one playing basketball in the nude. This was quite normal for our nudist baller, and a pretty goofy way to bring on a smile to his teammates' faces and surprise opponents. Next up, at number 8, throughout his career, Shaq developed a positive interest in law enforcement and literally went through the LA County Sheriff's Reserve Academy for the post of an officer with the LA Port Police. In 2005, he was given an honorary U.S. Deputy Marshal title. At that time, he served as a spokesperson for the Safe Surfing Foundation, which was a task force dedicated to tracking down sexual predators targeting underage children on the web. When Shaq was traded to the Miami Heat, he trained to become a Miami Beach Reserve officer and held a private oath-taking ceremony to stay undercover and not draw any attention. Later, Shaq witnessed a hate crime and helped Miami police capture the perpetrators for that crime. they were charged with a hate crime, assault, and aggravated battery. More recently, he took part in the raid of a residential house in Virginia alongside SWAT and was given a dub name of Honorary Deputy of the Task Force. In a downtown celebration when his fans set 2 police patrol cars on fire, the next day Shaq sent a check to the LAPD for the repair of the torched cruisers. And it's things like that that really make you think he's genuinely a nice guy. Moving on now to number 7. After being part of the NBA for just 1 season, Shaq decided to try his hand at another passion, rapping. He chose the MC name Shaq Fu and went on to produce 5 studio rap albums. He did 1 compilation album and was also featured in many songs from other artists. It was not only his hobby, but he took it seriously and became a professional rapper. Over his musical career, he's been signed under contract to 4 different recording labels, including Interscope Records. This particular label is a very popular one because it's produced legendary rappers like Tupac Shakur, Dr. Dre, and Eminem. In 1993, Shaq debuted his first album named Shaq Diesel. He successfully sold over 1 million copies of the album and received official platinum certification from the Recording Industry Association of America. He made a huge name in the rapping industry, just like his huge body, and was even called by Michael Jackson to be a guest rapper on Jackson's song Too Bad. So here's a question for you guys. Have you ever listened to a song by Shaq? If so, let us know in the comments section below and tell us which song of his you like the most. Coming in at number 6, Shaq owns a record because of his giant feet and wearing sneakers with a shoe size of 22. Not only did he have some of the biggest feet to ever play in the NBA, but Shaq was also one of the tallest and heaviest men to ever hit the hardcourt, standing at a height of 7 feet 1 inch tall and a weight of 325 pounds. His feet are so big, in fact, that he had to have custom-made sneakers, not just for his long feet, but also to cushion the entire weight of his giant frame. And according to a study, the average shoe size for American men is 10.5. So that means that Shaq literally has feet more than twice as big as the average dude. Moving on now to number 5, Shaq's feud with Kobe Bryant is one of the biggest controversies among teammates in the history of the NBA. These 2 All-Stars are arguably the most popular GOATs to ever play together in the NBA. They played for the Lakers from 1996 to 2004, and the feud started not too long after the 2 guys started playing together in 1996. They both kind of had opposite personalities, Shaq's behavior being centered around humor and sometimes indifference, while Kobe stayed extremely serious and was strictly business. Whatever the reasons were behind the tensions, they didn't resolve the problems and continued to fight even after winning 3 consecutive NBA championships together. It's also reported that during practice, the situation got so worse that Kobe and Shaq even exchanged punches. It's also been reported that Shaq once said that he, quote, would murder Kobe. The mutual dislike between the 2 players never ended even after Shaq changed teams, and they were kind of seen accepting each other in the media for a brief time. Coming in at number 4, Shaq quickly spent $1 million in under an hour after he signed his first NBA contract with the Orlando Magic. Most people don't even make $1 million in their entire life, and this dude just blew it in an hour. But it wasn't really a bad thing because Shaq grew up in relative poverty and saw his parents work extremely hard to support him. So rather than blowing that first $1 million on a car or a house or clothes for himself, Shaq spent it on his parents. He made sure that they were comfortable and moved them into a nice neighborhood while allowing them to quit their jobs. This might appear to be a risky endeavor coming from a young 20-year-old, especially since a lot of professional athletes go broke after some time. However, Shaq learned strategies in business and finance to make sure that he manages his money well and avoids bankruptcy. Next up at number 3, only Shaq has the audacity to show up to work and do his job in his underwear without getting fired. That's exactly what he did in 2015. After losing a bet to Isaiah Thomas that Dwight Howard would drop a double-double in a game, Shaq had to uphold his end of the bargain and go into work without any pants on. Now, for some people, you might just hide out in a cubicle all day, But Shaq was a broadcaster on TNT, so that meant that he had to go on camera in front of a national TV audience in nothing but his skivvies. So that means Shaq was just about naked in front of millions of people watching live TV. And not only did he have to be naked on live TV, but his colleagues posted videos of it on social media after the segment had finished. Hopefully it wasn't too cold in the studio during that segment, because otherwise, you know what might happen, guys. Let's move on now to number 2. You can imagine just how diverse his financial portfolio is by knowing the total net worth of Shaquille O'Neal is estimated to be around, get this, $400 million. You might not even believe the number of businesses Shaq is running. On top of the money he made from his NBA salary and makes now as a TNT broadcaster, Shaq also stacks the loot with different brand endorsements. He makes like $22 million a year in endorsement deals with some companies including Icy Hot, remember those commercials? Arizona Cream Soda, Buick, Gold Bond, and Zales, among others. What's more, Shaq is also the joint owner of 155 Five Guys Burgers restaurants, 150 car washes, 40 fitness centers, 17 Annie Ann's Pretzels restaurants, a movie theater, a shopping center, and a handful of Las Vegas nightclubs. Add that all up and Shaq's making quite a profit from these investments. And with such diversity and long-standing relationships with large corporations, he might even earn a business thumbs up from a guy like Bill Gates. Finally, we've made it to number 1. Who knows what might have happened if Shaq had been with the rapper Biggie Smalls, aka the Notorious B.I.G., on the night he was gunned down. Perhaps Biggie might still be alive, or perhaps we'd be living in a world without Shaq. As we said earlier, Shaq was immersed in the hip-hop world, being a rapper himself in the mid-90s, and he soon made friends with Christopher Wallace, who was the Notorious B.I.G. They even produced a song together, Can't Stop the Rain, which was featured on Shaq's album of the same name. The night Biggie was murdered, he had invited Shaq to an after-party. Shaq was on his way to that party, but his security detail denied his entry to the party, so he went on home. Unfortunately, while Biggie was on his way to the party, he was stopped in the streets and shot to death by an unknown assailant. A friend of Biggie's who was in the car when the rapper was shot believes that had Shaq attended the party with Wallace, the incident probably would have never taken place because Shaq would have had much higher levels of security. Hey, if you liked our video, guys, then make sure to give us a thumbs up and click on the video, The 5 Best Akeem Olajuwon Fights. It involves an elbow, slap, and a punch. We know you're gonna enjoy it.